Welcome back to Mythic Slumber, where the great and quiet stories of history become your gentle guide to sleep. Tonight, we journey back in time to the age of crusades and castles to walk beside the warrior monks known as the Knights Templar. Find your most comfortable position, quiet your breathing, and let us drift through the shadows and whispers of their sacred trust. Allow the story of their humble rise, their mysterious purpose, and their tragic fall to carry you toward deep, restorative rest. If this journey into the past brings you peace, a gentle light helps other restless souls discover this sanctuary of slumber. Let us begin our journey together, not in the clash of a battle or the court of a king, but in the quiet, humble heart of a single devout traveller. Imagine a time long past, an age of profound and simple faith, a time when the world felt both larger and more mysterious than it does today. The great and tumultuous wave of the First Crusade has receded, its echoes of violence and fervour now fading into a deep and heavy silence across the land. The great cities of the Holy Land have been won, and the path to the most sacred place on earth, the city of Jerusalem, is once again open. Our story starts in the cool green and familiar lands of Europe. Picture a small, quiet village, nestled in a gentle valley, a place of soft rains, of rolling green hills and of ancient moss-covered stones. Here a pilgrim makes a solemn vow to leave the comfort and the safety of their home and to undertake the greatest journey of their life, a long and arduous pilgrimage to walk the very ground where their Saviour once walked. Imagine the quiet farewells, the gentle embrace of family, the silent prayers offered in a small stone chapel as the morning mist still clings to the fields. The pilgrim is not a soldier, not a merchant, but a simple soul, their heart filled with a pure and unwavering light of devotion. They carry with them almost nothing, only a wooden staff, a simple leather pouch with a few coins, and the immense, invisible weight of their own unshakable faith. Let us join them as they begin their journey, part of a small, quiet group of like-minded souls. They walk through the familiar landscapes of their own world, through deep, quiet forests where the light filters down in gentle, dappled patterns, and alongside slow, meandering rivers that reflect the soft, grey European sky. There is a gentle melancholy to these first days, the quiet sadness of leaving all that is known, mixed with the hopeful anticipation of the sacred destination that lies so far ahead. Every step is a prayer, every sunrise a quiet miracle. Their journey eventually leads them to the sea, to a bustling port where the air for the first time carries the sharp, clean scent of salt and the strange, unfamiliar sounds of 100 different languages. Here, they board a simple, sturdy wooden ship, its single great sail the colour of weathered linen. Imagine the gentle but persistent creak of the ship's timbers, a rhythmic, soothing sound that will become the music of their journey for many weeks to come. The ship pulls away from the shore, and the pilgrims watch as the green coastline of their home, the last familiar sight in their world, slowly softens, blurs, and then dissolves into the hazy blue line where the sea meets the sky. Now they are in a new world, a world of immense and simple elements. There is only the vast, deep, and ever-changing blue of the Mediterranean Sea below, and the equally vast and endless blue of the sky above. Days are spent in a state of quiet contemplation, watching the gentle, hypnotic rhythm of the waves, the slow and steady progress of the sun across the heavens. The gentle, rocking motion of the ship becomes a cradle, lulling the body and the mind into a state of deep and patient calm. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do, but to simply be present, to drift on the currents of the sea and of time, moving ever eastward, ever closer to the holy shores. The nights on the open sea are a time of profound and silent wonder. With no earthly lights to compete, The sky becomes a breathtaking spectacle. The stars are not faint, distant sparks, but brilliant, shimmering jewels scattered across a cloth of the deepest, softest velvet. The Milky Way is a luminous, churning river of light, a celestial pathway that seems to mirror the earthly path of their own pilgrimage. In the deep, resonant silence of the night, broken only by the gentle sigh of the wind in the rigging and the soft whisper of water against the hull, the pilgrims feel a sense of profound connection to the vast and beautiful mystery of the universe. Their faith is deepened not by sermons or by books, but by this direct and simple communion with the immense and silent majesty of creation. After a long and timeless journey, a new scent arrives on the wind. It is a warm, dry and spicy scent, the scent of a land that is baked by a much stronger sun. A lookout calls from the mast, and all eyes turn to the east. A thin, pale line appears on the horizon, slowly growing, slowly gaining colour and definition. It is the coast of the Holy Land. The pilgrims gather at the rail, their hearts a mixture of quiet joy, deep reverence, and a new, unspoken sense of apprehension. The journey across the water is over, but the most difficult part of their pilgrimage is just about to begin. As they disembark at a busy, chaotic port like Jaffa or Acre, they step into another world. The sensory change is immediate and overwhelming. The gentle, diffuse light of Europe is gone, replaced by a brilliant, white, and almost blinding sun that reflects off the pale stone of the buildings. The air is not cool and damp, but hot, dry and thick with the fine, gritty dust of the desert. It carries 1,000 new smells, the heady aroma of unfamiliar spices, the scent of olive wood smoke, the dry, ancient perfume of the sun-baked earth. The familiar sounds of their homeland are replaced by a new and cacophonous music, the hubbub of a world where many cultures meet and trade. They find their footing and begin the final overland leg of their journey. The long and arduous walk to the sacred city of Jerusalem, and it is here, on the final dusty road, that the world reveals its deep and hidden peril. The landscape itself feels ancient and weary, scarred by the passage of too many armies, too many centuries of conflict. The earth is cracked and dry, a palette of ochre, beige, and dusty brown. Gnarled, silver-leafed olive trees, some so old they seem to be a part of the very rock, cling to the dry and stony hillsides. The road is not a road in the modern sense, but a simple beaten track of dust and rock that shimmers in the ever-present oppressive heat. Let us now slow our pace and walk with this small, humble band of pilgrims. Feel the immense, heavy weight of the sun on your shoulders. Feel the dry heat that radiates up from the ground, a constant draining presence. The only sound is the soft, rhythmic and weary shuffling of many feet in the thick, pale dust. A sound that seems to be absorbed by the vast and watchful silence of the landscape. Every step sends up a small puff of fine, white powder that coats their simple robes, their tired faces, their parched lips. Water is more precious than gold here, and it is rationed carefully. A few precious sips to soothe a throat that is perpetually dry. The peril of this road is not always a visible thing. It is a feeling. It is an atmosphere. It is a heavy and watchful stillness that seems to emanate from the rocky hills and the deep, shadowy ravines that line the path. The pilgrims walk with their eyes cast downwards, their hands clutching the simple wooden crosses that hang around their necks. They move in a tight, quiet group, finding comfort in their shared presence, their shared purpose. The world feels empty, yet they have the constant, unnerving sense of being watched. A dislodged stone from a high cliff, the shadow of a bird of prey circling high overhead, the sudden silence of the cicadas. Every small sign sends a quiet ripple of fear through the group. This is a land that has not yet found its peace. It is a land of bandits and of desperate men who hide in the hills and prey on those who are weakest. The road to Jerusalem is a path of faith, but it is also a crucible of fear. The pilgrim's devotion is tested with every weary step. Their physical strength is drained by the sun and the dust, and their spiritual strength is tested by the constant low-grade tension that hangs in the heavy, shimmering air. They pray as they walk, their lips moving in a silent, continuous murmur. Their faith is the only armour they possess, their shared hope the only shield. Their goal, the holy city, is a distant, unseen promise, a spiritual magnet that pulls them forward, one slow, painful and shuffling step at a time. They are so close, yet the final miles are the most dangerous of all. They are vulnerable, they are exhausted, and they are in desperate need of a guardian. They need more than faith to protect their bodies. They need a new kind of soldier, a warrior who is also a man of God, someone who will take up the sword not for riches or for glory, but for the humble and sacred purpose of protecting the innocent. Rest now in this image of the weary, devout pilgrims, their faces etched with the dust of the road and the pure light of their faith. Feel their deep and profound need. The stage is now perfectly set. The world is waiting for a new kind of hero to emerge, a new kind of order to be born from this perilous dust. A poor fellow soldier of Christ, a guardian of the road, a knight of the temple, their time is about to come. The air over the Holy Land is heavy with a deep and weary stillness. The great and terrible storm of the crusade has passed, but the sky is not yet clear. A strange and unsettled peace hangs over the ancient landscape, a peace that feels fragile and thin, like a pane of old brittle glass. The city of Jerusalem, the jewel of the world, the final destination for 1,000 weary pilgrims, is now in Christian hands. Yet the roads that lead to its gates remain threads of profound and quiet peril. The need for a guardian, for a selfless and steady protector, is a silent, aching prayer that rises from the dusty earth with the shimmering heat of the day. And in the heart of this sacred and troubled city, this prayer is about to be answered. It is answered not by a king or a great lord, not with the fanfare of trumpets or the march of a grand army. It is answered in the quiet, shared glance of two men. Let us picture them now, two knights standing on the high stone walls of the city as the sun begins to set, casting long, deep shadows across the Kidron Valley. One is named Hugo de Payens, a nobleman from the Champagne region of France, a man of middle years, his face weathered by the sun and etched with the lines of a deep and thoughtful nature. The other is his kinsman and friend Godfrey de Saint-Omer, a man of similar age and of a quiet, steadfast and loyal spirit. They are not dressed in the shining, ornate armour of the great crusading lords. Their chainmail is worn, their leather gambesons are scuffed and stained with the dust of many long journeys. They have seen the glory and the horror of the Holy War, and it has left them not with a thirst for more power or for worldly riches, but with a deep, sober and profound sense of purpose. They stand in silence, looking out not at the city at their backs, but at the wild and unforgiving landscape that stretches out before them, the landscape that every poor and hopeful pilgrim must cross. They see the shimmering, heat-hazed road, and in their hearts they feel the silent fear of those who walk upon it. In that shared silent gaze, a new idea is born. It is a quiet and radical idea, an idea that runs contrary to the entire spirit of their age. They would not seek to conquer more land, they would not seek to accumulate more wealth. They would dedicate the rest of their lives to a single, humble, and selfless task: to protect the weak, to guard the innocent, and to make the perilous road to Jerusalem a safe and sacred passage once more. It is a vow made not in a grand cathedral before a king, but here, on this lonely wall, in the quiet chambers of their own hearts, a promise made directly to God. This quiet and powerful idea acts like a magnet, a gentle but irresistible force that begins to draw other like-minded souls into its orbit. Over the following months, 7 other knights are drawn to the cause of Hugues and Godfrey. They are not the most famous or the most powerful knights in the Holy City. They are men of a similar spirit, men who have grown weary of the world's endless quest for glory and have found within themselves a deeper longing for a life of pure service. They come together not in a great council of war, but in a small, quiet and cool stone chapel in the back streets of the city. Imagine this first, humble gathering. The 9 men kneeling together on the cold stone floor. The only light is the soft, flickering glow of a few tallow candles, their gentle flames casting dancing shadows on the ancient worn walls. The air is thick with the scent of old stone, of melting beeswax, and of a deep and reverent silence. Here, in this humble place, they formalize their quiet vow. They swear the 3 great oaths of the monastic life, oaths that will define them and set them apart from all other knights, from all other men of their time. First, they swear an oath of poverty. Let us take a moment to feel the true meaning of this vow. It is not a vow of destitution or of misery, it is a vow of liberation. They willingly and joyfully release themselves from the heavy burden of worldly possessions. They give away what little land and wealth they have. They will own nothing, not even the armour on their backs or the sword in their hands. Everything will belong to the Order, to the Brotherhood. This poverty is a source of immense and quiet strength. It frees them from the distractions of greed, from the fear of loss, from the endless and exhausting pursuit of material things. Their worn and battered armour becomes a symbol not of poverty, but of their freedom. The famous image of 2 knights sharing a single horse is not a sign of their destitution, but a powerful and beautiful symbol of their commitment to humility and to brotherhood. Next, they swear an oath of chastity. In a world driven by lineage and by dynasty, this too is a radical act of release. They are freeing themselves from the earthly ties of family and of passion, so that they may focus the entirety of their life's energy, all of their love, all of their devotion, on a single, higher and more sacred purpose. Their love will not be for one person, but for all of humanity. Their family will not be one of blood, but the brotherhood of their fellow knights and the great extended family of the pilgrims they have sworn to protect. It is a vow that purifies the heart and simplifies the soul, allowing for a clarity of purpose that is almost unimaginable. And finally, they swear an oath of obedience. This is perhaps the most difficult and the most profound of the 3 vows. It is the willing surrender of the individual ego. They are promising to obey the will of their master, and through him, the will of God, without question and without hesitation. It is an act of supreme and perfect trust. It dissolves the pride and the vanity that is the natural state of a warrior, and replaces it with a deep and calming sense of belonging to something much larger and more important than themselves. They are no longer 9 individual men. They are now 9 parts of a single body, a single mind, a single spirit, all working together in perfect quiet harmony. With these 3 great vows, a new kind of being has been created. A warrior monk, a contemplative man of action, a poor fellow soldier of Christ, and now their true work can begin. Let us follow them in our minds as they ride out from the city for the first time as a brotherhood. It is the deep, dark hour just before the dawn, the sky a soft, deep indigo, the first faint hint of pale light just beginning to touch the eastern hills. They gather in a quiet courtyard, their movements slow, deliberate, and practiced in the cool pre-dawn air. There is no shouted talk, no boasting. There is only the soft jingle of chainmail, the quiet creak of a leather strap being tightened, the soft nicker of a horse. They don their simple functional armour, a salient and meditative ritual, and then they mount. Hugues and Godfrey, as the legend tells, share a single strong warhorse, a living symbol of their vow of poverty, and as a small, quiet group, they ride out from the Jaffa Gate, their forms dark silhouettes against the slowly brightening sky. They do not ride with the proud, charging energy of a cavalry unit. Their pace is slow, patient, and watchful. Their eyes are not fixed on a distant enemy, but are constantly scanning the rocky hillsides, the shadowy ravines, the places where danger might hide. They are a quiet, watchful, and reassuring presence on the road. After some time they see a small group of figures ahead, moving with the slow, shuffling gait of the utterly exhausted. It is a small family of pilgrims, their robes coated in dust, their heads bowed against the already growing heat of the day. The pilgrims see the armed men approaching, and for a moment their hearts are filled with the familiar, cold dread of the road. But then they see the simple, unadorned shields. They see the calm and watchful expressions on the knights' faces. They see that these men are not riding towards them with aggression, but are slowing their pace, moving to flank them, creating a silent, protective space around them. The knights do not speak much, a gentle nod, a reassuring glance. One of them perhaps dismounts and offers his own water skin to a pilgrim whose own has run dry. The act is simple, profound, and utterly unexpected. These are not lords seeking tribute. They are servants. They are guardians. The knights fall into place around the small group, their slow, steady pace now matching the weary steps of the pilgrims. Their silence is a more powerful shield than any wall of steel. Their quiet, vigilant presence is a balm to the pilgrims' frayed and anxious nerves. For the first time on this long and perilous road, the small family can lift their heads, they can straighten their backs, and they can walk without fear. They are safe. This simple scene is repeated, day after day. The 9 knights, with their limited resources, patrol the most dangerous stretches of the road, from the coast to the holy city. They seek out the smallest and most vulnerable groups, the families, the elderly, the ones who would be the easiest targets. They become a familiar and deeply welcome sight. Whispers begin to spread through the pilgrim caravans, stories told around the campfires at night, stories of the silent, watchful knights. The poor knights they are called, the selfless holy men who appear when they are most needed and then vanish just as quietly, seeking no reward, no thanks, only the fulfillment of their sacred vow. A new legend is being born, not in a great battle, but here on this dusty, humble road. It is the legend of a new kind of chivalry, one based not on personal glory or the spoils of war, but on humility, on service, and on a deep and abiding love for humanity. These 9 men, in their poverty and their simplicity, are building the foundations of something that will one day become one of the most powerful and mysterious orders the world has ever known. But for now, they are simply the poor fellow soldiers of Christ, and their work, their quiet, prayerful, and protective work has only just begun. The quiet and selfless work of the 9 knights does not go unnoticed. In the close and watchful confines of the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem, true piety is a rare and precious commodity, and it shines with a light of its own. The stories of the poor fellow soldiers, the silent guardians who ask for nothing and give everything, begin to spread from the dusty roads and the humble pilgrim camps to the very halls of power. These whispers, carried on the lips of grateful travellers, eventually reach the ears of the king himself, Baldwin's son, the ruler of Jerusalem. The king, a shrewd and devout man, recognises in the actions of these 9 knights a spirit that's different, a purity of purpose that is a stark and beautiful contrast to the endless ambition and greed of the worldly lords who surround him. He sees in their humility the seed of something great, something that could be a true spiritual anchor for his fragile kingdom. And so he decides to grant them a gift, a patronage that will lift them from their obscurity and give their noble cause a permanent home. He summons Hugues de Payens and his 8 companions to his court, which is held in a captured mosque on the Temple Mount, the most sacred and contested piece of ground in the entire world. Let us imagine this meeting. It is not a grand or ostentatious affair. The 9 knights, clad in their simple worn armour, stand before the king and his court. They stand in a quiet, humble line, their hands resting not on the hilts of their swords, but clasped gently before them. They do not ask for anything. Their presence is a simple statement of their purpose. And the king, looking upon their calm and earnest faces, understands. He tells them that their work is holy and that it deserves the support of the crown. He grants them a headquarters, a place to live, to pray, and to organise their sacred mission. And the place he grants them is a space of unimaginable significance. He gives them a wing of the very building in which they stand, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which the Crusaders believe is the site of the legendary Palace of Solomon. With this single, generous act, the 9 poor fellow soldiers are given a home at the very heart of the world. They are now headquartered on the Temple Mount, a vast raised platform of ancient stone that has been the spiritual centre of the world for thousands of years. It is a place layered with history, with myth, and with a deep, palpable, and almost overwhelming sense of holiness. Let us now leave the king's court and follow the 9 knights as they walk to their new home, to the space that will forever define them. They walk through the vast, cool and shadowy halls of the mosque. The fierce white glare of the Jerusalem sun is left behind, and they enter a world of deep, calming shade and profound silence. The air inside is cool and still, carrying the faint, clean scent of ancient stone, of cedar wood, and of centuries of prayer. Their footsteps, which were silent in the dust of the road, now create a soft, echoing shuffle on the polished stone floors, a sound that only serves to emphasize the immense and sacred emptiness of the space. Their new home is a forest of stone. Great soaring columns rise all around them, their capitals carved with intricate geometric and floral patterns that draw the eye and quiet the mind. The Islamic builders of this place did not use images of men or of animals in their decorations, and the effect is one of serene and contemplative abstraction. The knights are surrounded by a silent, beautiful and complex mathematics of faith. High above, light filters down through arched windows of coloured glass, creating long, slanted shafts of dusty golden and sapphire light that moves slowly across the floor as the day progresses, silent and celestial timekeepers. To live in such a place is to be transformed by it. The knight's humble, practical mission of guarding the roads now takes on a new and deeper dimension. They are no longer just soldiers, they are the custodians of a holy place, the quiet inhabitants of a sanctuary that stands at the nexus of heaven and earth. Their days are now structured by a new rhythm, the call to prayer from the minarets that still stand in the city, the changing patterns of light on the floor, the deep resonant silence of the vast empty halls at night. Their own quiet monastic life of prayer and of discipline finds a perfect container in this serene and beautiful environment. From the courtyards of their new home, they can look upon the other great structure that dominates the Temple Mount, the magnificent dome of the rock. They see it every single day, and it becomes the visual anchor of their new existence. Imagine its perfect golden dome, catching the first gentle rays of the rising sun and glowing with a soft internal fire. Picture its beautiful intricate blue tiles, a sea of perfect calming colour that seems to have captured the very essence of the sky. The Dome of the Rock is not a part of their headquarters, but its constant silent and beautiful presence is a powerful influence. It is a constant reminder of the sacredness of the ground upon which they walk, a vision of perfect divine geometry that surely inspired their own meditations and their own developing sense of a sacred and ordered mission. But the true secret of their new home The thing that would fuel the legends and the mysteries for all the centuries to come was not found in the sunlit halls or the open courtyards. It was found below, for the Temple Mount is not just a platform of stone, it is a hollow and ancient place honeycombed with caverns, with cisterns, and with forgotten subterranean passages. And the Crusaders in their explorations had rediscovered a vast cavernous space directly beneath the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a breathtaking subterranean forest of immense stone pillars and soaring vaulted ceilings. They called this space Solomon's Stables, believing it to be the very place where the legendary king had stabled his thousands of horses, and the vast, dark and silent world was now given to the 9 knights as part of their domain. Let us now imagine the 9 knights, their practical work of patrolling the roads done for the day, lighting a few simple torches and beginning their first slow descent into this mysterious world beneath their feet. They move down a long, winding staircase of worn and ancient stone, and with each step the air grows cooler, stiller, and heavier with the scent of deep earth and damp ancient rock. The familiar muted sounds of the city above fade away completely, replaced by a silence that is older, deeper, and more profound than any they have ever known. It is the silence of the deep earth, the silence of forgotten centuries. They step out into the space, and the flickering warm light of their torches reveals a scene of staggering and almost frightening scale. As far as the eye can see, in every direction are immense square pillars of stone, marching in perfect orderly rows into the deep and impenetrable darkness. The ceiling is so high above that the torchlight barely reaches it. It is a vast underground forest, whose trees are made of the living rock of the sacred mountain. To speak a word here is to have it swallowed by the immense and thirsty suns. The only sound is the soft shuffling of their own feet on the dusty floor and the gentle, whispering hiss of the flames in their hands. And it is here, in this deep, dark and silent place, that the Knights Templar truly began. For the next 9 years, the historical record of their activities is almost silent. They continued their patrols, but they were a small and obscure order. It is said that for these 9 long years, they spent most of their time here, in the cool, silent darkness of Solomon's Stables. And what were they doing? The legends say they were digging, searching for the lost treasure of the temple, for the Ark of the Covenant itself. But perhaps the truth is something more subtle and more profound. Let us imagine that their work here was not a physical, but a spiritual excavation. Imagine the 9 knights spending long, silent hours day after day, week after week, in this subterranean world. They are not digging with shovels, they are listening. They are meditating. They are sitting in the deep, resonant silence of this place, a place that is at the very root of the sacred mountain, and they are trying to hear its secrets. They are allowing the ancient holy energy of the place to soak into them. They are engaged in a long collective and silent retreat from the world, a 9-year-long deep dive into the very subconscious of the sacred. In this profound and uninterrupted stillness, they are transformed. The simple pious soldiers who descended into this darkness slowly become something else. They are changed by the silence, by the darkness, by the immense and patient weight of all the centuries of history that surrounds them. They go in as humble guardians of the road, and they emerge as the guardians of a profound and powerful secret. What did they learn down there? What truth did they uncover? The story does not say, but when they emerge once more into the full light of day, they are no longer just 9 poor knights. They are men who carry a new and quiet authority, a deep and unshakable certainty. Their eyes hold a new depth. Their silence is heavier, more meaningful. They have been forged into something new in the deep, dark and silent earth. And now they take a name that reflects this profound transformation. They are no longer simply the poor fellow soldiers of Christ. They are now and forever the Knights of the Temple of Solomon, the Knights Templar. and they create a seal to represent their order, a powerful and beautiful symbol of who they are and from where they have come. The seal depicts two knights, their bodies clad for war, sharing a single horse. It is a symbol that looks back to their humble beginnings, a permanent reminder of their vow of poverty. But it is also a symbol that looks forward, a representation of their dual nature, the perfect and mysterious union of the warrior and the monk, the man of action and the man of deep, contemplative and secret wisdom. Their foundation is now set. They have a home, a name, and a secret. And the world is about to discover the power of what was born in the deep, silent darkness at the very heart of the world. The 9 Knights of the Temple have been forged in the deep, silent darkness beneath the heart of the world. They have a home, a sacred name, and a profound, unspoken secret that gives them a new and quiet authority. And now the world begins to take notice. Pious and adventurous young men from noble families all across Europe hear the whispers of this new and different kind of order, this brotherhood that seeks not glory or riches, but a life of pure and simple service to God. They are drawn to the legend, and they begin to make the long journey to Jerusalem, not as pilgrims seeking protection, but as postulants seeking to join the ranks of these warrior monks. The original 9 soon become 20, then 50, then 100. The simple, unspoken understanding that had bound the first brothers together is no longer enough to guide a growing and vibrant order. A new need arises, the need for a formal structure, a written guide that will ensure the pure and humble spirit of their founding is preserved, that it can be passed down through all the generations to come, a sacred vessel to hold the essence of their purpose. And so Hugues de Payan, the first Grand Master, the quiet and determined heart of the Brotherhood, travels back to the green and gentle lands of his birth. He journeys to the Council of Troyes in his native Champagne to seek the official recognition of the Church and to ask for a formal rule to guide their lives. And here he seeks the help of the most powerful and respected spiritual voice of his age, a man who is not a king or a pope, but a simple Cistercian abbot with a luminous and brilliant soul, Bernard of Clairvaux. Bernard is a mystic, a poet, and a man of profound and deep faith. He sees in Hugues de Payan and his humble order the potential for a new and revolutionary kind of holiness, a way to channel the fierce or martial energy of the knighthood into a pure and selfless conduit for God's work. He sees in them the living embodiment of a holy paradox, the gentleness of the lamb and the ferocity of the lion, all held in perfect disciplined balance. And so, with Bernard's guidance, the Latin rule of the Knights Templar is created. Let us not think of this as a dry and dusty legal document. Let us imagine it instead as a beautiful and intricate musical score, a composition designed to arrange the lives of thousands of individual men into a single, harmonious, and beautiful chord. It is a trellis, lovingly and wisely constructed, upon which the vine of the Templar spirit can grow in a strong, orderly, and beautiful fashion. The rule is not a cage of restrictions, it is a framework for liberation. The spirit of the rule is drawn from Bernard's own Cistercian tradition, and it is founded on 3 great and simple principles: simplicity, silence, and a balanced rhythm of prayer and of work. The first principle is simplicity. The rule dictates that a Templar's life must be stripped of all worldly vanity, of all unnecessary decoration, of all things that distract the soul from its pure and simple purpose. Imagine their chapels not as grand, gilded cathedrals, but as simple, beautiful, and unadorned spaces of stone and of light. There are no golden statues, no lavish tapestries. There is only the quiet beauty of the pure form, the graceful arch, the simple stone altar. Their clothes, when they are not in their armour, are the plain, rough, spun robes of a simple monk. Their meals are humble and nourishing, eaten from simple wooden bowls. This simplicity is a constant, quiet reminder that their true treasure is not in the world, but in their service to God. The second great principle is cadence. The rule places a profound and sacred importance on the practice of quiet. For much of the day, the Templar preceptory is a place of deep and resonant silence. This is not an empty or awkward silence, but a rich, living, and communicative stillness. It is a silence that allows a man to hear the quiet whispers of his own soul, and in that quiet, to hear the voice of God. Mealtimes are to be eaten in absolute silence, not as a punishment, but as a meditation, a time to be truly present with the simple gift of their food. To live in this way is to learn that the most important things are often communicated without any words at all. It is to find a deep and abiding peace in the simple act of being quiet, a peace that becomes a source of immense inner strength. The third principle is the sacred rhythm of prayer and of work. The Templar's day is not his own to structure as he pleases. It is structured by a gentle and unwavering rhythm that has been followed by monks for centuries. The day is divided by the canonical hours, the 7 times of collective prayer that mark the passage of time from the deep darkness before the dawn to the quiet of the evening. And the time between these prayers is filled with mindful, purposeful work, whether it is the hard physical labour of tending the fields, the quiet, focused work of mending a piece of armour, or the immense and patient task of caring for their powerful and essential war horses. Every action is to be performed with the same sense of devotion and of presence as the prayers themselves. This beautiful, balanced rhythm of ora et labora, of prayer and of work, prevents the soul from ever becoming idle or lost. It creates a life of constant, gentle and meaningful purpose. Let us now immerse ourselves in this quiet and ordered world. Let us spend a full day, from one darkness to the next, living by the gentle and steady rhythm of the rule. Our day begins long before the sun. A single soft bell rings out in the deep pre-dawn cold, its clear and simple note cutting through the thick fabric of sleep. And in the communal dormitory a great long hall, lined with simple straw-filled pallets. The knights rise as one. They rise in silence, their movements slow and deliberate in the dark. They dress in their simple robes and file out of the dormitory, their bare feet or soft leather shoes making almost no sound on the cold stone floors. They make their way to the chapel, which is lit only by a few flickering candles that cast long dancing shadows on the high bare walls. Here, they stand in the cool darkness and they begin the first prayer of the day, the service of matins. Their voices when they chant the ancient psalms are not loud or performative. They are a low, resonant and beautiful drone, a collective hum of devotion that seems to make the very stones of the chapel vibrate in sympathy. To be in this space, in this moment, is to feel the deep, quiet and powerful bond of this brotherhood, a bond forged in shared prayer in the sacred stillness of the night. As the first pale grey light of dawn begins to filter through the high windows, the prayers are finished and the knights move to their first simple meal. They break their fast together in the refectory, a long hall with simple wooden tables. They eat in silence, their meal a piece of coarse but wholesome bread, perhaps some cheese or some olives, and a cup of watered wine or clean, cool water. The only sound is the quiet scrape of a knife, the soft clink of a wooden cup, and the voice of a single brother who stands at a lectern and reads aloud from the Holy Scriptures. They are nourishing their bodies and their souls at the same time. After the meal, the work of the day begins. Each brother has his assigned task, his own small but essential part to play in the great interconnected life of the preceptory. Some go to the armoury, a place that smells of oil and of metal and of leather. Here, in quiet concentration, they meticulously clean and repair the tools of their other trade, their swords, their helmets, their intricate coats of chainmail. Each link is checked, each strap is tested. Their equipment must be in a state of perfect readiness, and this quiet, patient work is a form of meditation. others go to the stables, a place of immense and vital importance. The Templar warhorses are the heart of their military strength, and they are cared for with a love and a devotion that is second only to the knight's devotion to God. The stables are a place of quiet, constant activity, the air filled with the clean, honest scent of hay and of horse, the sounds, the soft nicker of the animals, the rhythmic brush of a currycomb, the gentle murmur of a knight speaking softly to his mount. The day continues, its rhythm marked by the ringing of the bell that calls them back to the chapel for the short services of terce, sext and nun, the prayers of the mid-morning, the midday and the afternoon. And then, as the sun begins to descend from its highest point, it is time for the main meal of the day. Once again it is eaten in complete and meditative silence, to the quiet voice of the reader providing the only sound. As the afternoon light softens and grows long, the work of the day is completed. The tools are cleaned and put away, the animals are fed and settled for the night, and as the sun touches the horizon, the bell calls them for the evening prayer of Vespers, a service of gratitude for the day that has passed. And then, as the last of the light fades and the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky, they gather one final time in the chapel for Compline, the last prayer of the night. It is a quiet, gentle, and beautiful service, a prayer for a peaceful night's rest and for protection from the darkness. And with the final chanted Amen, the great silence begins. From this moment until the first prayers of the next morning, no one is to speak a word unless there is a dire emergency. This is the most sacred time of all, a time when the entire preceptory is wrapped in a thick and holy blanket of pure quiet. The knights return to their communal dormitory, and in the deep and profound stillness, they sleep. Their rest is deep and untroubled, the sleep of men whose days are filled with purpose, whose souls are quiet, and whose brotherhood is absolute. This is the life that the rule created, a life of perfect, simple and powerful harmony. It was this deep internal order that was the true secret to the Templars' strength, the quiet and disciplined engine that drove their mission and that would soon make them the most respected and formidable order in the entire world. The rule of the order has been established, a beautiful and harmonious score that now governs the quiet, disciplined lives of the Knights Templar. Within the peaceful and ordered walls of their preceptories, they are monks, their days a gentle and steady rhythm of prayer and of work. Their numbers grow, their reputation for piety and unwavering discipline spreading like a slow and gentle dawn across the Christian world. And now, the time has come for their outer appearance to reflect the profound inner transformation they have undergone. They are to be given a uniform, a habit that will identify them, that will separate them from all other knights, and that will become one of the most powerful and resonant symbols of the age. The Pope, Honorius II, looking upon this new and vibrant order, sees in them the living embodiment of the Cistercian ideals of purity and of simple devotion, the very ideals that their patron, Bernard of Clairvaux, had championed. And so, in a gesture of profound respect and spiritual kinship, he grants them a privilege of immense significance. He grants them the right to wear a pure white mantle. Until this moment, this honour had been reserved for the Cistercian monks alone, the most respected and ascetic order of their time. To bestow it upon the Templars is to recognise them not just as soldiers, but as true and equal brothers in a life of deep and contemplative faith. Let us imagine the first quiet ceremony where these mantles are bestowed. In a simple, unadorned chapel, perhaps in their headquarters on the sacred Temple Mount, the knights gather. One by one they kneel. The heavy worldly garments they wear, the simple brown or black tunics of a common soldier, are covered by this new and luminous vestment. Imagine a simple heavy cloak of pure undyed wool the colour of clean, fresh fallen snow. As it is draped over the shoulders of a knight, it covers his worn and battered armour, It covers the signs of his worldly struggles and transforms him. It is a profound and symbolic act. The individual man, with his own history and his own pride, disappears beneath the uniform of the Order. He is now a part of something larger, a single thread in a vast and beautiful white tapestry. Let us take a long and meditative moment to consider the deep and quiet power of this colour, white. It is the colour of purity, of a soul that has been washed clean of all worldly stain, of all selfish ambition. To wear the white mantle is a constant, a physical reminder to the knight of his vow, a promise to keep his soul as clean and as unblemished as the garment he wears. It is a declaration to the world that he is no longer fighting for land, for riches, or for personal glory, but for a pure and selfless ideal. White is also the colour of silence. Imagine a vast, snow-covered landscape in the deep of winter, a world that is hushed, still, and at peace. The white mantle is a wearable silence. It is a symbol of the deep, contemplative quiet that is at the heart of the Templars' monastic life. It absorbs the noise and the chaos of the world, and in its place it radiates a sense of calm, of serenity, of a profound and centered peace. And white is the colour of a blank page, the colour of a new beginning. When a man joins the Order and dons the white mantle, he is surrendering his own personal story. His past life, with its triumphs and its failures, is erased. He is now a blank page upon which God's will is to be written. He is an instrument, a humble and willing servant, his own identity subsumed into the greater, collective identity of the Brotherhood. This surrender of the ego is a source of immense and quiet strength. Imagine now, a column of these knights riding out from the gates of Jerusalem on their sacred duty to protect the pilgrim road. See them moving as one, a silent river of white flowing through the dusty brown and ochre landscape of the Holy Land. They are a startling and beautiful sight, a vision of pure and luminous purpose in a weary and war-torn world. Their white mantles billowing softly in the hot desert wind make them appear as something more than mere men. They are like a host of angels, a physical manifestation of a divine and protective promise. For several years they are the knights of the white mantle, and this symbol of purity alone defines them. But then, some years later, during the time of the Second Crusade, a new pope, Eugenius III, grants them a second, and even more powerful symbolic gift. He grants them the right to add a cross to their mantle, a cross of the deepest and most vibrant red. It is to be worn on the left side of the cloak, directly over the heart. Imagine now a knight holding his pure white mantle and a simple red cross of woolen cloth being carefully stitched onto the fabric. The cross is a croix pâtée, its arms narrow at the centre and splayed out at the ends, a simple, powerful and elegant design. The addition of this single potent symbol changes everything. The blank page of the white mantle now has a single focused and passionate statement written upon it. The colour red is the colour of love, of passion, of lifeblood, and in this context, it is the colour of sacrifice. It is a constant, visible declaration that the knight is willing and even expects to shed his own blood in the service of his faith. It is the symbol of martyrdom, the ultimate expression of a warrior's devotion. The white mantle is the cool, contemplative and monastic soul of the Order. The red cross is its passionate beating heart. The two together create a symbol of perfect and powerful balance. It is the ice of discipline and the fire of faith, all held together in one man. It is the purity of the lamb and the courage of the lion. This simple device, the red cross on the white field, is a work of pure genius, a symbol that communicates the entire complex identity of the Order in a single instantaneous glance. And now, this symbol becomes a powerful force in the world, a symbol that is interpreted in two very different ways, depending on who is seeing it. Let us imagine again the small, weary group of pilgrims shuffling through the dust of the perilous road. They are losing hope, their water is running low, and the shadows on the hills seem to be growing longer and more menacing. And then, over the crest of a distant hill, a sight appears, a flash of white, and on that white, a flash of the deepest red, a banner, and then below it, a line of silent, purposeful riders. For the pilgrims, this sight is a miracle. It is the answer to their prayers. The red cross on the white mantle is the most beautiful and welcome sight in the world. It means safety. It means protection. It means that they are no longer alone. It is a symbol of pure and absolute hope. But now, let us imagine another man, a bandit hiding in the rocky crags, waiting to prey upon these very pilgrims. He too sees the same sight, the flash of white and red over the distant hill. For him, this symbol means something entirely different. It means that his work is over for the day. It means that he will find no easy prey here. For the red cross on the white mantle is a symbol of an implacable and incorruptible force. These are not knights who can be bribed with a share of the loot. They are not men who will tire and give up the chase. They are a brotherhood, a single unified entity, and they will not stop. They will not rest until the road is safe. For the wicked, the symbol is one of righteous and unshakable power. Let us end our meditation on these symbols with a final quiet scene. It is the deep of night in the Holy Land. A small pilgrim caravan is camped for the night in a circle of wagons, a small and fragile island of humanity in a vast and empty desert. The pilgrims are sleeping, their rest deep and untroubled. And on the low hills surrounding the camp, a few solitary figures stand guard, sitting, motionless on their powerful war horses. They are the Templar sentinels. The moon is full and bright, and it bathes the landscape in a soft, ethereal silver light. In this ghostly light, their white mantles seem to gather and absorb the luminescence of the moon, making them appear as silent, ghostly, and luminous guardians. They do not speak, they do not move, they simply watch, their presence a silent, unwavering and protective shield. The only point of colour in this vast silver and black world is the deep, dark and resolute shape of the red cross on their chests, a symbol of a heart that is awake, that is watchful, and that is forever on guard so that the innocent may sleep in perfect and untroubled peace. Let us now leave the sun-drenched, dusty landscapes of the Holy Land, leave the image of the silent, luminous sentinels standing guard under a brilliant canopy of desert stars. Let the feeling of their protective presence remain, but allow our own perspective to drift, to lift up high into the night sky and travel back across the vast, dark and shimmering expanse of the Great Sea. We float back over the dark waters, back towards the familiar sleeping continent of Europe, with its cool, damp air, its deep, ancient forests, and its patchwork of green and fertile lands. For the story of the Knights Templar is not just a story of the East. The pure, white-hot flame of their mission in the Holy Land was fed and sustained by a vast and quiet network of roots that spread deep into the soil of their homelands. For every single knight in his white mantle who patrolled the perilous roads to Jerusalem, there were perhaps 9 or 10 other brothers back in Europe, living a life of quiet, diligent and prayerful work. It was these men, the unseen and unsung guardians of the Order's European heartlands, who were the true and steady engine of the entire enterprise. Their work was not one of warfare, but one of patient cultivation, of mindful labour, and of the slow and steady accumulation of the resources needed to fund a holy war 1,000 miles away. To understand the Templars, we must understand these quiet, peaceful sanctuaries they built all across the Christian world. Let our awareness now gently descend, not into a bustling city, but into the soft, rolling countryside of the French heartland, a landscape of gentle hills, of slow-moving rivers, and of ancient oak forests. Here, nestled in a quiet valley, we find a typical Templar preceptory. From a distance, it does not look like a fortress. There are no high, menacing battlements, no dark and forbidding towers. It looks more like a large, prosperous and exceptionally well-ordered farmstead. We see a collection of simple, sturdy and beautiful buildings, their walls made of a warm, honey-coloured local stone, their roofs of a heavy, dark slate or of thick, neatly laid thatch. At the centre of the complex rises the simple, clean-lined bell tower of a small stone chapel. Surrounding the buildings are vast, geometric tracts of meticulously tended fields, lush green pastures, and orderly, thriving orchards and vineyards. The entire place radiates an aura of profound and reassuring peace. It is an island of perfect, serene order in the often chaotic and untamed world of medieval Europe. There is a quiet, purposeful hum of activity here, but it is a hum that is in harmony with the natural rhythms of the land. Let us drift closer and wander through this peaceful and productive sanctuary. We begin with the land itself, for the land was the foundation of the Templars' strength. Imagine the fields of wheat and of barley, stretching out across the valley floor. The fields are not messy or overgrown, but are ploughed in perfectly straight, clean furrows. The crops grow tall, strong, and healthy, their heads heavy with grain, a testament to the patient, skillful, and loving labour of the brothers who tend them. To work in these fields was a form of prayer, a meditation in motion. Imagine a line of Templar sergeants, the non-noble warrior brothers of the order, or lay brothers who have dedicated their lives to manual labour. They are dressed in the simple dark robes of the working brethren, and they move together in a slow, steady, and practised rhythm as they scythe the ripe wheat. The only sound is the soft, swishing whisper of the blades through the stalks, and the gentle murmur of the wind. This work is hard, but it is honest and deeply fulfilling, a direct and sacred partnership with the earth. Let us wander now into the orchards. Here, apple and pear trees are planted in perfect, graceful rows, their branches heavy with fruit in the late summer sun. In the spring, this place would be a sea of fragrant white and pink blossoms, the air thick with the gentle buzzing of the bees that the brothers keep in simple hives along the stone walls. And beyond the orchard, on a sunny south-facing slope, are the vineyards. The grapevines are old, their trunks gnarled and thick, and they are pruned and tended with a masterful skill. To walk through these orderly rows, to see the great heavy bunches of purple and green grapes hanging in the dappled light, is to feel a sense of deep, earthly abundance, a sense of the quiet, patient and miraculous generosity of nature when it is cared for with reverence and with wisdom. This was the source of the Templars' great wealth. It was not just the donations of kings and of nobles, but this, their own hard and mindful labour, their skill at farming and at land management. They were master agriculturalists, and the lands they controlled became the most productive and the most prosperous in all of Europe. They did not seek this wealth for their own comfort. Every bushel of wheat, every barrel of wine was a contribution to the great and sacred mission across the sea. The sweat of a farmer brother in a field in Burgundy helped to pay for the armour of a knight brother on the road to Jerusalem. Let us now turn our attention to the buildings at the heart of this peaceful domain. We enter the small, simple chapel. It is cool and quiet inside, the air still and smelling faintly of incense and of old stone. The light is soft, filtered through windows of clear, rippled glass. There is no gold here, no ornate decoration. There is only a simple stone altar, a wooden cross, and the quiet, powerful presence of a space that is dedicated entirely to prayer. This is the spiritual heart of the preceptory, the place where the brothers gather throughout the day to mark the sacred hours, to reconnect with their divine purpose and to pray for their brethren who are fighting so far away. We move from the chapel to the refectory, the great dining hall. It is a simple long room with sturdy polished wooden tables and benches. Here the brothers take their meals together, in the monastic tradition of complete silence, their simple nourishing food a gift of their own labour from the surrounding fields. We can almost hear the quiet echo of the single reading voice, the only sound that would have accompanied their meals. And beside the refectory is the dormitory, a great open hall where the brothers slept in communal simplicity, a nightly reminder of their complete and total brotherhood, a space where all men, regardless of their rank outside these walls, were equal in the eyes of God. And who were these men, these guardians of Europe? They were not all the noble-born knights. In fact, the fully knighted brothers were often a small minority at these preceptories. The vast majority were the sergeants, the men-at-arms, and the lay brothers. The craftsmen, the farmers, the blacksmiths, the stonemasons. Each man brought his own skill, his own talent, and dedicated it to the service of the order. It was a perfectly balanced and self-sufficient community, a beautiful and intricate ecosystem of faith and of work. The blacksmith in his forge, his hammer ringing out in a steady and rhythmic beat, was not just shoeing a horse. He was participating in the defence of the Holy Land. The brother tending the beehives was not just making honey, he was contributing to the sweet sustenance of the brotherhood. These preceptories were more than just farms and monasteries. They were true sanctuaries. In a world that was often violent and unstable, they were islands of profound peace, of order, and of safety. A weary traveller on the road could always find a safe bed and a simple meal at a Templar house. The local poor knew that the brothers would provide them with charity, with a portion of their abundant harvest. The preceptories were quiet, steady, beating hearts that pumped a constant, life-giving flow of resources, of new recruits, and of spiritual strength out to the frontiers. They were the deep and unseen roots of a great and holy tree, and without their quiet, patient, and steadfast work, the branches of that tree could never have offered their protective shade to the pilgrims of a distant and perilous land. The Templar preceptories have become quiet, beating hearts of peace and productivity all across the lands of Europe. They are islands of serene order. Their well-tended fields and their silent, prayer-filled chapels are testament to the deep and abiding faith of the brothers who live there. And it is from this profound and well-earned reputation for discipline, for honesty, and for unshakable integrity that a new and revolutionary idea begins to grow, an idea born not of ambition, but of a simple and compassionate response to a very human need. Let us return once more to the humble pilgrim, the devout soul who has vowed to make the long and arduous journey to the Holy Land. We have felt the weariness of the road and the heat of the sun, but there is another burden that the pilgrim carries, a burden that is heavy, constant and cold. It is the weight of their own worldly wealth. To fund such a journey, a person would have to carry with them the savings of a lifetime, a small fortune in heavy, clinking coins of gold and of silver, sewn into the lining of their cloak or hidden in a heavy leather belt beneath their robes. Imagine the constant low-grade anxiety of this burden. Every stranger on the road is a potential threat. Every night spent in a noisy, crowded inn is a night of fitful, anxious sleep. The physical weight of the coins is a constant reminder of the financial weight of the risk. A single moment of carelessness, a single encounter with a desperate bandit could mean not only the end of their sacred pilgrimage, but their utter ruin. This quiet, gnawing fear is a constant and unwelcome companion, a discordant note that can disturb the peace of a prayerful heart. The pilgrim longs to be free of this burden, to be able to walk the road with a light step and a quiet mind, focused only on the spiritual goal that lies ahead. And so the Knights Templar, in their quiet wisdom, create a solution. It is a system of such simple and profound genius that it will change the world. Yet it is based not on financial theory, but on a single, powerful, and sacred commodity: trust. Let us now imagine a pilgrim, perhaps a merchant from the misty city of London, who is preparing for his own journey. He has gathered his funds, and he feels the familiar heavy anxiety of how to transport them safely across 1,000 miles of dangerous territory. He has heard whispers, however, of a new way, a service offered by the quiet and respected warrior monks who live in the temple, their beautiful, circular church on the banks of the River Thames. He makes his way there, and he finds not a bustling place of commerce, but a quiet and solemn sanctuary. He is met not by a calculating moneylender, but by a Templar brother, a serene and reassuring figure in a simple dark robe. The brother leads him to a quiet, vaulted stone chamber, a room that feels as safe and as secure as a confessional. Here, in the cool, still air, the pilgrim explains his need. The Templar brother listens patiently, his expression one of calm and quiet understanding. There is no complex negotiation. There is only a simple question: what is your burdens, and how can we help you carry it? The pilgrim unloads his heavy purse of coins onto the thick oak table. The sound of the metal, so loud and anxious in the outside world, seems softer here, muffled by the deep and holy silence of the place. The Templar brother, with the help of a clerk, carefully and meticulously counts the coins, each one a small piece of a man's life and labour. The sum is recorded in a great heavy ledger, the script neat, clear, and precise. The physical treasure is then scooped into a heavy cloth bag, which is sealed and taken away to be stored in the deep, secure vaults that lie beneath the preceptory. The pilgrim feels a great and immediate sense of relief. The physical burden is gone, but now the true magic of this system is revealed. In place of his heavy and cumbersome gold, the pilgrim is given a single, small and almost weightless piece of folded parchment. Let us watch as the Templar brother prepares this sacred document. He takes a piece of fine, supple vellum, and using a quill and a pot of deep black ink, he writes upon it. He does not write in a common language. He writes in a complex and secret cipher, a beautiful and intricate script that only the initiated brothers of the order, all across the world, can read. This script is the language of their trust. It details the exact sum the pilgrim has deposited, his name and his place of origin. When the script is dry, the brother takes a stick of deep red wax and melts it with the flame of a candle. A small, perfect pool of molten wax is dripped onto the folded parchment, and then the brother takes up a heavy bronze seal. He presses it firmly into the warm wax. When he lifts it, it leaves a perfect, sharp impression in its place, the iconic image of the two knights sharing a single horse, surrounded by the Latin inscription that proclaims them the poor fellow soldiers of Christ. This seal is everything. It is the lock, and the secret knowledge of the order is the key. It transforms a simple piece of paper into a sacred and unbreakable promise. The letter of credit is now complete. The brother folds the parchment one last time and hands it to the pilgrim. It is so light in his hand it feels like almost nothing at all. And yet, it holds all the power of his former wealth, and none of the danger. He can now begin his long journey, not as a wealthy merchant worrying about his gold, but as a true and simple pilgrim. Imagine him now, weeks later, walking the hot and dusty roads of the Holy Land. He carries no heavy purse. He has nothing of value for a bandit to steal. He carries only his faith, his staff, and this single, small and sacred piece of sealed parchment tucked safely and lightly in an inner pocket of his robe. His mind is at peace. His journey is no longer a source of constant low-grade anxiety. It has been transformed into a pure and focused spiritual exercise. He can look upon the beauty of the landscapes through which he passes. He can speak with his fellow pilgrims with an open and trusting heart. He can devote the entirety of his energy to the prayers and the contemplations that are the true purpose of his journey. The Knights Templar have given him a gift that is far more precious than the protection of his gold. They have given him freedom from fear. They've given him peace of mind. And then, at the end of his long and arduous journey, he arrives, weary but spiritually fulfilled, within the sacred walls of Jerusalem. He makes his way to the great Templar headquarters on the Temple Mount. He is greeted with the same quiet courtesy and respect that he was shown in London. He presents his small sealed letter of credit. The Templar brother in Jerusalem examines the unbroken seal, recognizes it as authentic, and then gently cracks it open. He reads the secret cipher, which tells him all he needs to know, and without any further question, the exact sum that the pilgrim deposited 1,000 miles and many months ago is counted out to him in the local currency of the kingdom. The promise has been kept. The circle of trust is complete. This simple, beautiful and revolutionary system was the source of the Templars' immense influence. It grew organically from their reputation for being utterly and completely trustworthy. They were more than just knights, more than just monks. They had become the silent, steadfast and reliable guardians of the Christian world's conscience and its commerce. And this incredible network of trust, which connected a small chapel in London to the very heart of Jerusalem, was all made possible by the deep spiritual power and the profound mystery that was centered in their home, the sacred and ancient Temple of Solomon. The great system of trust has spread its reassuring net across the Christian world. A whisper on parchment, sealed with the image of two humble knights on a single horse, can now command the power of a king's ransom. The Knights Templar have become the steady and reliable heart of a new kind of commerce, a commerce based not on risk, but on a foundation of absolute and unwavering integrity. The world sees the effect of this power. They see the growing number of preceptories, the well-tended lands, the disciplined brothers, the endless flow of resources that supports the holy mission so far away. The world sees the branches of the great tree, but its roots, the true source of its incredible and mysterious strength, remain hidden, deep in the sacred soil of Jerusalem. Let us now travel back in time, back before the great expansion, before the wealth and the influence, back to the very beginning, back to the first 9 knights. Let our awareness recede from the bustling ports and the green fields of Europe, and return to the quiet, sun-baked stones of the Temple Mount. Let us return to that small, obscure, and impoverished brotherhood, living in their gifted quarters, their presence in the holy city barely a footnote in the grand scheme of the Crusader kingdom. For it is here, in their first 9 years of existence, in a period of profound and almost unbroken silence, that the true secret of the order was forged. We must descend once more. Let us follow those first 9 brothers as they finish their simple evening meal, as the last prayers of the day are said. They do not retire to the dormitory to sleep. Instead, they light a few simple tallow lamps, their flames casting a soft, warm and gentle glow. They walk in a silent single file through the cool, dark halls of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, their soft leather boots making almost no sound on the ancient polished stone. They come to a heavy wooden door, and then to a long winding staircase that spirals down into the deep quiet darkness beneath the sacred mountain. Let us descend with them. With each step down, the air grows cooler, stiller, and carries the clean, earthy scent of deep, damp rock and of centuries of undisturbed silence. The muted, distant sounds of the sleeping city above fade away completely, until the only sound that remains is the soft, collective whisper of their own slow and steady breathing. It is a journey not just downwards in space, but backwards in time, a descent into the very foundations of the world, into the subconscious of history. They emerge into that vast, cavernous and awe-inspiring space known as Solomon's Stables. The small, flickering lights of their lamps do little to conquer the immense darkness. Instead, the light seems to be swallowed by it, revealing only a small, intimate circle of visibility. All around them, the great square pillars of living rock rise up and disappear into a gloom that the eye cannot penetrate. a silent subterranean forest of stone that seems to go on forever. The silence here is a physical presence. It is a heavy, soft and ancient blanket that seems to absorb all thought, all worry, all sense of the passing world above. And it is here in this deep, dark and silent world that the 9 knights spent the better part of 9 years. The world above saw only their occasional patrols, their humble appearance. No one knew of the long, silent hours they spent down here, in the roots of the holy mountain. The legends that would follow centuries later would say that they were digging, that they were treasure hunters searching for the fabled lost treasure of Solomon's temple, for the immense hoard of gold and of silver, for the sacred ceremonial objects, and even for the legendary Ark of the Covenant itself. But perhaps the truth is something far more subtle and far more profound. Let us imagine that their excavation was not a physical one. Perhaps they understood that the greatest treasure of the temple was not a thing that could be held in the hand, but a truth that could only be held in the heart. Imagine them not with shovels and with picks, but in a state of deep and collective meditation. They would find their own quiet places within the vast, dark forest of stone, each man a small solitary island of quiet contemplation, and they would simply sit. They would sit for hours, for days, for years, and they would listen. They were listening to the stones, they were listening to the silence. They were attuning their own souls to the deep, slow, and powerful resonance of this place that was the very foundation of all holiness. They were engaged in a form of spiritual archaeology, patiently and silently digging through the layers of their own consciousness to find the deep foundational truth that was mirrored in the ancient rock around them. Their long sojourn was not a treasure hunt. It was a 9-year-long silent prayer, a deep and sustained act of pure and patient listening. What were they listening for? A whisper from the past? A secret that the stones had absorbed and held for 3,000 years? Were they searching for a lost piece of sacred geometry, a key to understanding the harmonious architecture of the universe? A secret that would allow them to build their own order, with the same divine and perfect proportions as the temple itself? Or were they searching for a lost and hidden story, a secret gospel, a different telling of the great and sacred narrative, a truth that had been buried, both literally and figuratively, by the politics and the power of the world above? The silence of this place does not give us an answer. The mystery remains. But what is certain is that the 9 men who eventually ascended that winding staircase for the last time were not the same 9 men who had first descended all those years before. They had been profoundly and irrevocably transformed by the deep, resonant silence of the earth. They had gone into the darkness as simple, pious and somewhat naive soldiers of Christ. They emerged as men of a deep and unsettling wisdom. They emerged as mystics. Imagine them, standing once more in the full bright sunlight of the Jerusalem day. Their faces are the same, but their eyes are different. Their eyes now hold the deep, dark, and quiet stillness of the cavern they have left behind. Their silence, which was once simply the discipline of a monk, is now something heavier, something filled with a deep and unspoken knowledge. They carry the immense and patient weight of the sacred mountain within them. They have touched something eternal. They have heard a whisper of a profound and powerful secret, and that secret now lives at the very core of their being. This inner transformation is the true source of their power, the secret ingredient that will allow their order to grow with such miraculous speed and strength. When they speak, even the simplest words now carry a new and profound authority. When they are silent, their silence is the source of immense and intimidating power. Kings and popes, when they meet with these men, feel this. They cannot name it, they cannot explain it, but they recognize that they are in the presence of men who are in possession of a great and unshakable certainty. And it is because of this quiet, mysterious and powerful authority that they are trusted. The secret that they found beneath the temple was never written down. It was not a treasure that could be locked in a chest. It was a living truth, a state of being, a new and deeper understanding of the world. And this secret now became the true treasure that they guarded. They were no longer just the guardians of the pilgrim roads. They were now the guardians of a sacred and unspoken trust, a secret that would fuel the greatest mysteries and legends of their age, the most famous of which was the persistent and beautiful whisper that they had become the new, secret, and eternal guardians of the Holy Grail. The Grail is just one of many secrets the Templars were whispered to have guarded. If there is another mystery of the Order, be it their lost treasure or their vanished fleet, that you would like us to explore on a future journey, feel free to leave a gentle suggestion in the comments below. Your curiosity often unveils the map for our next adventure. The Knights of the Temple have been transformed. Their long, quiet years spent in the deep, silent darkness beneath the sacred mountain have imbued them with a new and profound authority, a quiet and unshakable certainty that is rooted in a deep and unspoken secret. This secret is the true treasure they carried out from the earth, a treasure not of gold or of silver, but of pure resonant knowledge. And as the Order grew in power and in influence, the world, in its awe and its wonder, began to whisper, to dream, to speculate on the nature of the great and holy trust that these silent, white-mantled knights had been given. And so, the most beautiful and persistent of all the legends was born, a whisper that grew over the centuries into a rich and beautiful tapestry of myth. The whisper said that the secret the Templars guarded, the ultimate source of their wisdom and their purity of purpose, was the holiest and most sought-after relic in all of Christendom. The whisper said that the Knights Templar had become the new, secret, and eternal guardians of the Holy Grail. Let us not think of this in literal terms as a simple cup of wood or of clay locked away in a stone vault. Let us imagine the Grail as the legends did, as a symbol of a profound and living mystery. Perhaps it was a source of divine grace, a direct connection to heaven that nourished the spirit of the Order and kept it pure. Or perhaps it was a form of sacred and secret knowledge, a lost gospel or a hidden truth that, if revealed to an unprepared world, could shatter the very foundations of faith and of power. Or maybe it was the symbol of a sacred lineage, a quiet and unbroken bloodline that the knights were sworn to protect from the ravages of a violent and chaotic world. Whatever its true nature, the Grail represented a perfection that was not of this earth, and the Knights Templar, in this beautiful and whispered story, were its perfect sanctuary. Their entire order, their vast international network of preceptories, their unshakable code of discipline and of silence. All of it was simply the outer shell, the beautiful and intricate casket that was built to house and to protect this one single, priceless, and ineffable jewel. Their life of prayer and of service was a constant polishing of their own souls, so that they might be worthy to be in the presence of such a profound holiness. Imagine them, in their most secret and sacred chapels, in the deep of night, performing a quiet and reverent ritual, not of worship to a strange idol, as their enemies would later claim, but a ritual of pure and simple guardianship, a quiet communion with the spirit of the Grail itself, a moment to reaffirm their sacred vow to be the silent, selfless, and eternal old watchers, to keep this profound and beautiful mystery safe from the greed, the pride, and the misunderstanding of the world, until a time when humanity was finally ready and worthy to receive its grace. Their entire existence in this legend was a long and patient act of waiting, of watching, and of protecting. And so, if one is the guardian of such a profound and priceless secret, a secret that worldly kings and ambitious popes would do anything to possess, one must have a means of keeping it safe that goes beyond stone walls and hidden vaults. One must have a way to move beyond the reach of grasping hands, a way to disappear from the known world. And the Knights Templar, in their quiet and practical wisdom, had created just such a means. They had built a great and mysterious fleet of ships. Let us now allow our awareness to drift from the sun-baked stones of Jerusalem and travel to the cool, misty and wind-swept Atlantic coast of France, to the great Templar port of La Rochelle. Imagine a quiet morning, the harbour shrouded in a thick, soft and silent grey fog. The sounds of the busy port are muffled and distant. The cries of the gulls, the creak of common merchant ships, all seeming to come from another world. For here, at their own private docks, rests a fleet unlike any other. The ships of the Knights Templar are beautiful, sleek, and powerful vessels. Their hulls are not the dark, tarred wood of common ships, but are said to have been a gleaming and ghostly white. They are built for speed and for endurance, their lines clean and graceful, and upon their single great square sails is the only mark of their identity, the simple, powerful and unambiguous symbol of the Red Cross. To see these ships at anchor is to see a flock of great, silent white seabirds, resting peacefully before a long and mysterious journey. This fleet was the source of much of the Order's wealth, carrying goods and pilgrims back and forth from the Holy Land with an efficiency and a safety that no other fleet could match. But it was also something more. It was the instrument of their secrecy. The Templar captains were the most skilled navigators of their age, and it was whispered that they possessed maps that showed routes and even continents that were unknown to the rest of the world. They were not bound by the common pathways of trade. Let us now watch as a single white ship prepares to depart. It does not leave with a great cry of sailors or a bustling of activity. It leaves in the same profound and disciplined silence that governs all Templar life. In the thick, grey mist of the pre-dawn, its mooring lines are slipped, and the great white sail, with its stark red heart, is unfurled. It does not drop with a crash, but unrolls with a soft, whispering sigh. The ship catches a gentle, unseen wind and begins to glide out from the harbour. It makes no sound, leaving no wake in the still grey water. It is a ghost of a ship, a phantom vessel on a secret errand. It moves towards the thick bank of fog that lies out on the open sea, and as it enters the mist, its clean white form begins to soften, to blur, and then it simply vanishes. It has not just left the harbour, it has left the known world. This fleet was the Templars' ultimate guarantee of security. It was the physical manifestation of their mystery. It was the promise that, should the need ever arise, they and the sacred trust they protected could simply disappear, sailing off the edge of the known map and into the realm of pure and perfect legend. This very power, this profound and unshakable self-sufficiency, was the source of deep and abiding comfort to the pilgrims and the common people of the world. But to the powerful, to the men who sat on the thrones of Europe, it was beginning to become a source of a cold and growing unease. The awesome mystery that surrounded the Templars, the very thing that made them so respected, now began to curdle into suspicion. Let our awareness now drift from the misty, open sea and travel inland, to the cold stone heart of Paris, to the royal palace of the King of France, Philip IV. King Philip, called the Fair for his handsome features, is a man of a very different spirit from the Templars. His world is not one of spiritual mystery, but of cold, hard and practical reality. His kingdom is deeply in debt, his treasury is nearly empty, and he's engaged in a constant and exhausting struggle to consolidate his own power. He is a man consumed by the worldly concerns of money and of control, and when this man looks upon the Knights Templar, he does not see a holy order of humble warrior monks. He sees a problem. He sees a vast international organisation that is wealthier than he is, that is more efficient than his own government, and that operates completely outside of his control. He sees a state within his own state. He sees their magnificent temple in Paris, a great, powerful fortress that holds not only the Templars' own treasure, but the royal treasury of France itself. He sees a power that does not answer to him, but only to a distant and often pliable pope. And in the heart of King Philip, a cold and dangerous seed of an idea begins to grow. It is a seed of envy, of resentment, and of a deep and abiding greed. He hears the whispers of the Order's secret knowledge, and he does not think of its holiness. He thinks of its potential power. He hears the stories of their immense, hidden treasure, and he does not think of their charitable works. He thinks of how it could solve his own deep and pressing debts. A cold wind begins to blow through the corridors of power in Europe. The world is changing. The age of the Crusades is ending, the Holy Land now lost. The original purpose of the Templars to protect the pilgrim roads is now gone. And in this new and more cynical age, their great wealth, their secrecy and their international power no longer look like virtues. They look like threats. The great and beautiful trust that the Order had so carefully built over 2 centuries is now beginning to be deliberately and systematically eroded by the quiet, insidious whispers of jealousy and of suspicion. A great shadow is growing, the shadow of a powerful and indebted king, and this shadow is about to fall with a sudden and terrible swiftness upon the unsuspecting white-mantled knights. The sun is setting on their golden age, and a long and terrible night is about to begin. The sun is setting on the golden age of the Knights Templar. For 2 centuries, they have been the steadfast guardians of the Christian world. Their white mantles a symbol of purity, their red cross a promise of selfless sacrifice. Their system of trust has become the bedrock of an entire continent's commerce, and their secret wisdom, born in the deep earth beneath the Temple of Solomon, has given them an aura of profound and mysterious authority. But the world is changing. The hot, dry winds of the Holy Land have been replaced by the cold, calculating draughts in the stone corridors of European palaces. And a great shadow, the shadow of an indebted and envious king, has been growing longer and longer, a darkness that is now poised to fall upon the unsuspecting Order. Let us imagine a quiet autumn evening on a Thursday, the 12th of October, in the year 1307. All across the Kingdom of France, in the hundreds of peaceful and well-ordered Templar preceptories, the day is ending as it always does. The bell has rung for compline, the final prayer of the night. The brothers, the knights, the sergeants, the farmers have gathered in their simple candle-lit chapels. Their voices rise and fall in the gentle, ancient rhythm of the chanted psalms, a soft and resonant sound that has marked the end of their days for generations. After the final, quiet Amen, the great silence descends upon each house. The brothers return to their communal dormitories, their minds and souls at peace, ready for a night of deep and untroubled rest, earned by a day of honest work and of prayer. The entire network of the Templars' French heartland is sleeping. It is a picture of perfect, unsuspecting peace. But outside these quiet, holy walls, in the moonless autumn darkness, another, more sinister network is quietly moving into place. The king, Philip the Fair, has laid a vast and intricate trap. Secret orders, sealed with the royal wax, have been sent to every corner of his kingdom, and his royal seneschals, his soldiers, his informants are all waiting, holding their breath in the dark, waiting for a single predetermined moment. Let us not see the violence of this moment. Let us not imagine the splintering of doors or the clash of steel. Let us instead lift our awareness high above the sleeping landscape of France, and let us watch this event as the uncaring moon might have watched it. Imagine the entire kingdom as a great dark map, dotted with hundreds of small, warm and gentle points of light. Each point of light is a Templar preceptory, a place of prayer, a sanctuary of peace. And now, in the deepest and darkest hour, The hour just before the dawn of Friday, the 13th, the King's secret order is given, and all at once, in a single, silent and perfectly coordinated moment, a great and terrible betrayal unfolds. From our high vantage point, we see the lights on the map begin to go out, not one by one, but all at once. A small warm light in a valley in Provence is suddenly snuffed into darkness. A steady, gentle glow in a forest clearing in Normandy is extinguished. The great reassuring beacon of the temple in Paris, the very heart of the order, is abruptly plunged into blackness. It is a great and silent snuffing of candles, a sudden and shocking wave of darkness that washes over the entire kingdom. The light of the order, the light of 2 centuries of service and of faith, is, in a single, heartless moment, put out. The dawn that rises on that infamous Friday is a cold and grey one. It rises on a France where the white-mantled knights are no longer guardians, but are prisoners, their sanctuaries violated, their brotherhood broken, their sacred trust betrayed by the very king they had so faithfully served. The great betrayal is complete. The knights, who just hours before were the most respected and powerful men in the world, are now shivering in the cold, damp darkness of the king's dungeons. Let us imagine not the horror of these places, but the quiet inner world of the knights themselves. They are confused, they are shocked, but they are not broken, for their true strength was never in their swords or in their castles. It was in the deep internal order of their rule, in the unshakable discipline of their spirit. And so, in the darkness of their cells, they turn to the only thing they have left. They turn their prisons into monasteries. They mark the sacred hours of the day with silent prayer. They face their fear and their confusion with the same quiet courage and discipline with which they once faced the dangers of the desert road. Their outer world has been destroyed, so they retreat into the great, silent and unconquerable fortress of their own souls. Soon, the trials begin. But these are not trials of justice, they are a sad and hollow theatre, a stage upon which a play of lies and of greed is performed. The accusations that are levelled against the knights are like the fever dreams of a madman. They are accused of heresy, of idolatry, of spitting on the cross, of 100 impossible and obscene acts. These accusations are a dark and twisted mirror, reflecting not the soul of the Templars, but the desperate and greedy soul of the king who has invented them. Let us not dwell on the dark and terrible mechanics of these trials. Let us not give the lies any power. Let us focus instead on the quiet, dignified confusion of the knights themselves. Imagine an old and battle-scarred warrior, a man who has spent his entire adult life in the simple and devout service of his God, now being asked to answer for these strange and nightmarish crimes. He does not even understand the words. They are from a world of shadow and of deceit that is utterly alien to his own. In the face of this theatre of the absurd, the knights hold to their truth. Their order is holy, their vows are pure, their lives have been a testament of faith, but the great cruel machine of the state grinds on, and the flame of the order, which was so violently snuffed out on that dark October morning, is now being slowly and deliberately starved of its last remaining air. The Pope, under immense pressure from the king, finally dissolves the order. The white mantle and the red cross are now forbidden. The property is seized. The great and noble 200-year-long story of the Knights Templar, in the official records of the world, has come to its sad, unjust end. And the final bright ember of that flame, the last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, is brought out for his own final act. Let us imagine him, an old man, his body frail from years of harsh imprisonment, but his spirit unbroken. He is brought to a small island in the Seine, in the shadow of the great cathedral of Notre Dame, to face his end. And here, in his last moments, he is filled with a final, serene and indomitable courage. He finds his voice, and it is not the voice of a broken heretic, but the clear, calm voice of a martyr. He proclaims, for all the world to hear, the deep and profound innocence of his order, and the terrible injustice that has been done. Let us not see the fire, let us see only the spirit. Imagine his soul, the last living embodiment of the Templar flame, being released from its earthly prison. See it as a single bright and defiant spark flying up into the Parisian twilight, a spark of pure and indestructible truth that flies up and up until it becomes a new and permanent star in the deep dark sky of history and of legend. The order on earth is no more, its flame has been extinguished, but that final defiant spark ensures that its story will never ever be forgotten. The king had won his hollow victory, he had broken the men, he had seized their lands, he had officially erased their name from the world, but in the end he had failed. For the true essence of the Knights Templar was not something that could be captured, or tortured, or burned. It was a secret, it was a spirit, and it was a mystery. And in the final chaotic days of the Order, that mystery simply slipped away. The king's men, when they broke down the doors of the Great Paris Temple, found a fortress that was strangely empty of its most precious contents. The vast, legendary treasure of the Templars, the accumulated wealth of 2 centuries, was gone. The great ledgers that detailed their international system of trust had vanished. And most mysteriously of all, the great phantom Pumson fleet, which had been at anchor in the port of La Rochelle, had also disappeared. On the very eve of the arrests, it is said, the entire fleet, with its white sails and its red crosses, had simply weighed anchor and sailed out into the Atlantic, into the mist and the fog, vanishing from the pages of history forever. Where did it go? The question has echoed down through the centuries, a gentle and unanswered riddle. Did it sail west, to a new and undiscovered continent, carrying the secrets and the treasure of the Templars to a new world? Did it sail north to the misty shores of Scotland, to find a safe and secret harbour among allies who were beyond the reach of the French king and the Pope? The story does not say. The fleet simply vanishes, becoming a ghost ship, a symbol of the Order's final, masterful act of disappearance. And what of the knights themselves? Not all were captured in that first terrible betrayal. Many, it is said, were warned, and they too simply vanished into the landscape. They shed their white mantles, the symbols of their identity, and dissolved like ghosts into the quiet countryside and the deep forests of Europe. Some perhaps found refuge in other friendlier kingdoms like Portugal or Scotland, where they were absorbed into other knightly orders, their secrets and their rituals becoming a hidden, inner stream within a new host. Others perhaps simply lived out their days in quiet, hidden anonymity, as farmers, as hermits, as simple, quiet men forever guarding the unspoken trust that was the heart of their lives. The Order was not truly destroyed, it was dissolved. It was like a vessel of pure water being poured back into a great river. The vessel is gone, but the water, the essential substance, is not. It has simply merged with the greater flow. The Knights Templar, in their end, became what they had always been in their essence, a secret, a river of mystery that now flowed underground through the hidden passages of history, feeding the myths, the legends, and the secret societies of the future. The flame was gone, but its warmth and its light remained, hidden but eternal. The great and tragic fire has burned out. The last Grand Master has become a final defiant spark in the twilight sky, and the historical order of the Knights Templar is no more. The men are gone, their preceptories have been given to others or have fallen into quiet ruin. Their vast worldly power has been broken and scattered. The story in the great dusty books of history is over, but the end of a story is not always the end of its spirit. For the Templars, in their dramatic and unjust dissolution, did not truly die. They were transformed. They passed from the hard, bright world of fact into the soft, deep and timeless world of legend. Their final, masterful act of disappearance, the vanishing of their fleet and their treasure, was a profound and lasting gift. By leaving their story with so many beautiful and unanswered questions, they ensured that their spirit would never be perfectly captured, never be pinned down, and never truly die. Their mystery is the source of their immortality. They became a ghost in the machine of history, a quiet and persistent echo in a vast and silent chamber, a ghostly watermark on every page that has been written since. And we can still find that faint, beautiful echo in our world today, if we are quiet enough to look and to listen. It is there in the strange and beautiful round churches that still stand in the heart of great modern cities like London, their sacred geometry a quiet architectural whisper of the great dome of the rock in a land so far away. It is there in a strange symbol carved into the stone of a forgotten country chapel in Portugal, or in the name of an old farm in the French countryside that still carries the memory of the Templars who once worked the land. These are the faint physical footprints left behind by a great and silent passing. The echo is also there in our ideas. The very notion of a secret brotherhood, a disciplined and elite group dedicated to protecting a sacred trust, is an idea that the Templars have permanently etched into our collective imagination. Their spirit, their blend of the mystic and the warrior, of the monk and the man of action, has become a powerful and enduring archetype that continues to inspire stories and to fascinate the dreamer in all of us. But perhaps the truest echo is the one that resides within. The legacy of the Templars is a quiet and noble invitation. It is an invitation to find our own inner discipline, to live with a sense of a higher purpose, and to understand the profound power of a sacred promise, both to others and to ourselves. Their story reminds us that the greatest strength is often found not in noise and in fury, but in a deep and centered silence. The white mantle of purity and the red cross of a passionate, selfless heart are symbols that still speak to the very best and bravest parts of the human spirit. And now, it is time to let this story and all its actors go to their final rest. Let us allow the pious king, Baldwin, the wise abbot, Bernard, the envious king, Philip, and the last brave Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, to all fade back into the deep and quiet halls of history. Let the knights themselves in their white mantles find their peace. Their long watch is over. Their sacred trust is now kept only in the quiet and gentle realm of legend. Their story has been told, and their echo now fades, leaving behind only a profound and lasting sense of peace. And so, the story of the Knights Templar, their humble rise, their mysterious purpose, and their tragic final fall, comes to its peaceful end. The tale of the warrior monks now fades back into the mists of legend, leaving behind an echo of faith, of discipline, and of a great and enduring mystery. Just as the Order itself has now found its final rest in the quiet pages of history, may you now drift into your own state of deep and restorative slumber. May you carry the calm of their silent chapels and the peace of their well-ordered lives with you into your dreams. The great betrayal is over, the flame has found its peace, and your own quiet journey into the night is now complete. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If these whispered histories have brought a sense of peace to your mind, you can help other restless souls find this quiet sanctuary by subscribing and activating the notification bell. Your gentle support ensures that more stories from the silent halls of history can be told here each and every week. Until the next legend calls to you from the shadows of time, may your slumber be deep, your dreams be peaceful, and your rest be absolute. Sleep well.